Okay, good morning, ID. My name is Stanley, and this is my submission to the project that was posted as an assignment to us to do. And we're meant to create 10 VPCs for 10 different customers, 10 different users. And I'm just going to quickly bring up the assignment project here. So we're supposed to provision what we can see here, we're supposed to provision 10 VPCs with the different customer names and allocate them in 7 in US East 1, 3 in US East 2. Now, before I go on, there's a challenge. There's a challenge, and the challenge is that you have a maximum number of VPCs you can allocate. To look at the error I'm getting here, the maximum number of VPCs has been reached. Now, why I'm showing you this is I tried creating 7 VPCs in one location, that's US East 1. Apparently, when I got to 5, I wasn't allowed to create additional VPCs. So I was able to only create 4 VPCs plus the default that comes with the AWS Management Console. So the maximum number of VPCs you can have in a per location is actually 5. So 4 you've created plus the 1 extra one. So what I've been able to do then was to create 4. Then the default one, I renamed it to, so what I did here, if I go to my VPCs now, so this is US East 2. Okay, so I'm just going to go to, because I want to start with US East 1 first. So I'm going to go to US East 1. This is US East 1. And I created, these are my 5 VPCs here. I have Keystone Bank, Citibank, Kuda Bank, TotalEnergie, and Chelsea FC. So I converted the default VPC to Chelsea. You can see I still added the default there. So the naming convention is there. So people can also know that the default VPC is what I used as Chelsea. And you can also tell from the IP addresses, these are my own created IP addresses and the CIDR blocks that I created, but this was the default that has been created by AWS already. So before I also go on, I would like to just quickly, before you provision your VPS, there are steps you ought to take. And I kind of wrote down the steps. First of all, you create your VPC, then you create subnets for these VPCs, then you create route tables. Now remember, the route tables, you have to come back to the route tables later. So you come back to the route tables after you've created your internet gateway. So after creating your route tables, leave it, come back and go and create your internet gateways. Then go back to your route tables, then edit those route tables. Then you can now attach the different internet gateways or NAT gateway, depending on what gateway you want the route tables to connect with the VPC. Now, after doing that, then you now create your elastic IP. We use the elastic IP, of course, if you're going to be using the NAT gateway. So these are the steps which you do to provision your VPC complete for the customer. So I've done this already. So this video is just basically to show you the end results of everything, because really it's going to be a very long video. You have to start creating all these VPCs and provisioning all these different services from scratch again. Now we're going to look back at the question. The assignment says that not only are we supposed to create these VPCs, right? We are also supposed to connect the internet gateway to the public subnet routing to the IGW. Okay, so let me just show how I've been able to do that. Okay, so this is US East 1. So after creating my VPCs, the next thing I have to go to is to create my subnets. Now, we are told to create 3, excuse me please. We're supposed to create 3 subnets for each of these customers. Now, 3 subnets, private and public. So we're supposed to create 3 private and 3 public. I'm just checking the assignment from here. It says yes. So with 3 public and 3 private subnets. So first of all, I'm starting with TotalEnergie. So I have my public 1, And remember, these subnets are in these locations, US East 1. So while creating these subnets, I'm picking the availability zones that match the naming convention. So TotalEnergie public 1A, public 1B, public 1C. Then TotalEnergie private 1A, private 1B, and private 1C. So same thing goes for Kuda, the whole 6 subnets. And we have Keystone, the entire 6 subnets. We have Citibank, the entire 6 subnets. And of course, we have the Chelsea, that is the default. But those are the 6 subnets we created for the entire 5 VPCs. Now, the next thing we have to do after creating the subnet. Okay, also in creating the subnet, we also want to remember that we are to allocate IP addresses, to all these different subnets. And of course, I was able to successfully do that for the entire subnets, both private and public, for the different VPCs. Now, after creating a subnet, you then go and create your route tables. Now, the assignment says that connect your IGW, that's your internet gateway, to your public subnet routing to the IGW. Now, how do we do that now? First of all, we create our routing table. Simply just click here, you give it a name, give your table a name, select what VPC you want to attach, you want to use this routing table for, and when you're done, you go back to the routing table. Like I said earlier, when you're creating your routing table, we're going to come back to this after we have created our internet gateway. So after we've created our internet gateway, we go to our internet gateway. It's coming up. Okay, so I've created internet gateway for all the different customers, right? So we have the Kuda, Citibank, TotalEnergie, and Keystone. Now, when you create your internet gateway, this is just an example. Let me just say sample internet gateway, and I create it. This is sample. Oh, I've also been told I've reached the maximum number of internet gateways I can create. So it means also I can't do more than 5 internet gateways. But of course, as soon as you're done creating this internet gateway, you are going to be told to attach it. Yeah, you can do that by selecting it here, going to actions and attach. You can either detach or attach. So when you click on attach, it attaches it. It tells you to select the VPC you want to attach it to. So you can see my Kuda internet gateway is being attached to the VPC. So each of them are being attached to the corresponding VPCs. So now when you've attached it, you now come back. You go back to your route tables. Now let's take Kuda for example, because okay, let's do TotalEnergie for example. But select TotalEnergie here. I come here and I go to routes here, and I click on edit route. Edit route is somewhere here. Then it brings out the edit route table. So of course I'm using the 0000, meaning I want, it's like a full range, everybody in, everybody out. So then I come here, I do IGW, I select from this list, I come here, I select from this list, internet gateway. So it immediately it pulls out my that's why I said we have to create this first. Imagine we haven't created our internet gateway and we come here to edit our route tables. You see, this will not pull up. So that's why we need to create the internet gateway first. So by the time we're on our route table section here, editing it, we can easily pick our route table, and we just check the changes. I've done that already, so I'm just going to cancel this. I'll just show you how that's done. So now for the subnets, right? We want to route this table to our public subnets. Remember, we created 3 private subnets, 3 public subnets. So how do we do that? We go to the subnet association, still under the sub sections for the route tables. You can see subnets association here. So you come here and you do edit subnet association. So when you do that, you see all the list of subnets you've created for this VPC. You can see. So you're now going to select the public. So because the assignment says we should connect our internet gateway to the public subnets. So we come here, we select public, 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 and when we're done, we now click on save association. So I'm just going to cancel this because I've done this already, and that's why you can see 3 subnets here. If I click on this subnet now, you can see here public TotalEnergie public 1, TotalEnergie public 1B, 1C. But you can see these are all the public subnets that have been associated with this route table, and of course that's how it works. So quickly, we're also going to go. So as soon as we're done with that, we then go to. So we created our internet gateway, we created our route tables, then our elastic IP address will now be created. So we created an elastic IP address. This is going to start billing us. So we're told after showing this, we're immediately going to delete it. But before I delete it, I'm just going to explain what this does. So the elastic IP address, after creating the elastic IP address or allocating it, so to speak, we then come to our NAT. We create our NAT gateway. Now, after creating our NAT gateway, see what happens here. I come here, I create my NAT gateway. I pick a subnet for it, which is we're meant to allocate for Kuda. So I come here and I pick Kuda. Maybe Kuda, because it's going to be NAT, so it's going to be private, right? So we're going to select our Kuda private, Kuda private 1A, then give it a name. Then the connectivity type is public. Now, this can sound strange because you're like, it's not supposed to be private, but no, we are still going to be going in and out of the internet, because if we do private, for example, you can see traffic cannot reach the internet. So we do private, so to enable us to still go in and out of the internet. But why we're using NAT is just to shield us while we go into the internet and while we go back in. So when we're done provisioning our NAT gateway, remember, after provisioning your NAT gateway, you go back to your route table. Now, because it's Kuda we are going to be using, right? We're using Kuda for our route table. Now, I come to Kuda, I select Kuda here, then I go to route tables. Then under my route tables, I edit routes. Now, you can see now, I'm using NAT here instead of IGW. So, I'll just come here, I'll say, let me just read. So, instead of taking IGW or selecting IGW like we did for the other ones, but because the assignment says we should provision NAT gateway for Deloitte, Dangote, and Kuda, so we'll be coming here, instead of picking IGW, we're going to be picking NAT gateway. So you can see here, it has already picked our NAT gateway from here, so we select it from here. Then of course we just save changes. So that's basically how that works. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll be able to attach it. So we've done that. We've done that for this. So the same thing for the. Remember, I'm doing all of this in US East 1A. So I've been able to provision these 5 VPCs on US East 1A. So if I go to US East 1B, this is US East 1B. Sorry. Now this US East 2. Sorry, this now US East 2. So these are the other 5 VPCs I've been able to provision for US East 2. APC or AP Oil, Dangote, Deloitte, and all of this. Then for the subnets, I've also created the same subnets for all of them. Each of them has 6 subnets. You can see AP Oil, private, public, and all of them corresponds to the different availability zones that they are tied to. So then after that, we have the route tables. So you can see the whole route tables. Now the route tables for Deloitte and Dangote, because we were told to also provision them for NAT. So we come here and I do route tables for Deloitte. I come here, you can see edit routes, and I come here, I have to now provision that 0.0.0, then NAT gateway, and yeah, you can see Deloitte NAT. So I just pick that up, and I'll say that I'm going to remove IGW because I don't need that. So I'm going to be saving that for. So you can see now, Deloitte has a route table for Deloitte now has so that's Deloitte. So if I select Deloitte here now, you can see it now has route table for NAT. So same thing I'm going to do for Dangote now. I'll go to Dangote, I'm going to go to routes. I'm going to come here, edit routes. I'm going to